I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Tuesday.
Are you ready for vacation yet? I'm still not ready to get back to work.
We just got back from it.
I know. I miss vacation.
My wife was remarking this morning. She's like, you just are the type of guy that has to work. Like the vacation was okay, but after about 4 days, I start to get restless, and I'm like pacing back and forth, and I'm like, I just got to go work. So about 4 days is about the max.
That's about what I can do too. Yeah, I find stuff to do. I find things. So yeah.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. I want to get to this story because we weren't able to get to it yesterday in the 3 hours of Maduro talk. But the Fed stepping in on wolf reintroduction in Colorado, and it's possible. This is crazy. It's possible they may just go out and shoot them all. What?
Yeah, they might.
Bro, this is nutty. We'll talk about this coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson. Mark Baisley is going to join us at 7 o'clock hour because there's a lot of shake it up. See, I did my little T Swift there for you.
Shake it off, technically.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. It was adorable. You got the lyrics wrong.
Shaking it up.
Yeah.
With the Colorado GOP, Mark Baisley was running for gov. He was one of the 50,000 that was running for governor of Colorado. Switching it up, now going to run for Senate. He's going to challenge John Hickenlooper. And then later, Greg Lopez is going to join us. Greg was the Republican congressman from Congressional District 4 like a year ago.
Yeah, when Boebert bounced from 4 to 3, and you had to fill out the last 6 months of the term, he was the guy that was the peacemaker during that meeting that came in and said, guys, I'm going to be here. I'm not going to run for anything else, and I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z. I'm not going to run for this office again. It gives everybody a clean landing spot to run in the upcoming election. He was the agreed upon best choice for nobody to fight, and now everybody wants to fight him.
That's a good description. He has withdrawn his registration as a Republican, now identifying as a independent running for gov. So what does that mean? Could he be splitting the ticket in Colorado? Are we going back to 2010? When Tom Tancredo got frustrated, ran on the American Conservative Party, and split the ticket with Dan Maines, and Republicans barely got 10% of the vote.
And the other question to ask the GOP is, how bad do you want to win and not have a Weiser or a Bennett in the governor's race? Do you want it bad enough that you're willing to vote for the independent that just recently was the senator from Colorado filling in for Boebert? How badly do you want that governor's mansion? Do you want it badly enough to vote for an independent? Or is party more important and you'll be happy with the Governor Bennett?
Oh, right. Great
ask yourself the question.
Great question. So we're going to be talking with both Mark Baisley, Greg Lopez today, plus Mark Kelly possibly being demoted. Holy cow. Got a letter from Secretary Hegseth, and he has a response. We'll get to that in the 8 o'clock hour. So much to talk about today, but most importantly, we want you to be a part of the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. All right, now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning on the Jeff and Billy Show. 33 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 58 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, CPW says a mountain trail is open again in Larimer County after the deadly mountain lion attack last week. Kristen Kovac was the victim of the fatal attack. Hikers are being advised to exercise caution on this trail that was opened up. Wildlife officers euthanized 2 mountain lions believed to be connected to the incident and ended a multi-day search for a third animal. It was the first deadly mountain lion attack reported in the state since the late 90s.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long.
First Venezuela, DJT says Colombia may be next. Delcy Rodriguez is Venezuela's new president. The former vice president was sworn in Monday after the U.S. captured and removed dictator Maduro to face criminal charges in New York. Rodriguez, an ally of Maduro, condemned the U.S. military action and referred to Maduro and his wife as heroes being held hostage. Well, she has to do that. Meanwhile, Venezuelans are ecstatic, but Jake Tapper downplays it with Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller time.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. Went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tim Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries.
So, all right. Okay. I think there's a lot there are so many things involved here, and I love this. Susan Kokenda from Promethean Action. All right, she helps us understand that taking Maduro is actually attacking our biggest enemy, oligarchs, the rule of the few, the criminals who have been working with drug thug dictators.
The British Empire has been the most notorious entity in the world when it comes to making money off of drug trafficking, going back over 200 years, including the notorious Opium Wars of the 19th century. This has never stopped. It's just taken a new form. And that's the importance of Canada in this picture. It is run by the empire's favorite central banker, Mark Carney, and it is the major political outpost for the Crown in North America, used for drug trafficking, as the president mentioned, illegal immigration, and terrorism. Unlike, say, someone like Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, whom Trump accurately characterized as terrified of the cartels, Carney has actually facilitated the financing.
So it froze up, but bottom line, if we're going to rid the deep state, we have to start with the oligarchs and the offshore money and the nucleus of the anti-freedom, anti-American values problem. So Kokenda talks about it, and I'll play some more later in the 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock hour, 7 o'clock hour. I forgot what time it is. The man arrested in connection with the attempted break-in at VP JD's home in Ohio in the early hours of Monday morning is expected to make his first court appearance today. William DeFore, not William Defoe, has been charged with criminal damaging.
Right. That would have been
epic.
He could
play it though.
Yeah, that's right. He could. Yeah.
Right? When you envision,
you see the person.
Visualize a criminal, you see his face. In some movies, he's still alive, right?
I think so.
Know. Yeah. So William DeFore. He was obstructing official business, criminal trespass, and felony vandalism. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jeff. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. The CDC is revising the childhood vaccine schedule. The updated schedule is expected to resemble Denmark's, which recommends all children get vaccines for 11 diseases rather than 18. Hear, hear. Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville is throwing his hat in the ring for governor. The former Auburn football coach filed his official paperwork for this year's election on Monday. So as guys are dropping out here in Colorado, Tommy Tuberville adding his name in Alabama. Nuggets over the Sixers, 125-124 last night. Avalanche in Tampa tonight against the Lightning. FCS National Championship last night, overtime. Montana State trailing Illinois State 34-28.
Showing pressure on fourth down in overtime. They bring pressure. Lamson throws. End zone. Caught! Touchdown! Taco Dowler!
One of the great players in college football, Taco Dowler. They tie it at 34. Time for the extra point.
Snap, hold, kick. Up! Good! For a national championship!
Montana State wins the FCS National Championship. They haven't won one since 1984, but one of the dominant programs in FCS football. What a game. Wild game. And great for Illinois State, man. They had an amazing postseason run, amazing season. 32 in Centennial, 31 in Lakewood, 33 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. It's Tuesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast. Fair skies starting off our Tuesday with morning temps in the lower 30s. With sunny skies and breezy winds tomorrow, highs will be in the upper 50s. Lows lower to mid-30s for Tuesday night, keeping those skies fair. Wednesday, mid-50s with sunshine, then increasing clouds Wednesday night. By Thursday, some morning rain showers will mix with, then change over to snow as temps fall from the 40s. Overnight lows Thursday night, lower 20s with snow showers lingering. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Man, I'd love to be in an AC/DC cover band. Anybody wants to join up, needs a drummer in the AC/DC cover band, call me. 303-696-1971. All right, Bill, we didn't get to this yesterday.
Yeah.
But it happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
This is wild. U.S. Fish and Wildlife threatens to terminate Colorado's authority to manage wolves. They sent this big, long letter. Said 4 points to it, basically. 1, you lied about bringing Canadian wolves in. You weren't supposed to do that. 2, Colorado Parks and Wildlife knowingly spent taxpayer money to transport wolves to known livestock conflict with known livestock conflict backgrounds. 3, you're going to provide documentation of all the shenanigans you've been pulling. And 4, if you don't, we might relocate the wolves, but we'll probably just shoot them. Whoa, they've had enough. Here's Denver Gazette reporting, with no apparent plan in place to bring in more wolves to Colorado for 2026, Colorado Parks and Wildlife may have an even bigger problem. On December 18th, letter from Brian Nesvik, the director of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, threatens to terminate the state's authority to manage wolves unless certain conditions are met. It was first reported by the Fort Collins Coloradan this past weekend. Nesvik demanded that Colorado provide a complete report for all gray wolf conservation and management activities between December 12th, the first day the wolves from Oregon 2023, the first day the wolves from Oregon were released into Colorado, to the present. He wants a complete report of everything they've done for the past 2 years. The report must include a narrative summary and documents associated with CPW's decision to bring wolves from British Columbia, which Nesvec had previously said violated the agreement between Colorado and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. The agreement between U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and CPW said that Colorado's management of gray wolves as a federally listed species would be conducted in full compliance with a 10J rule issued by the federal agency under the Biden administration and subjected to its oversight. Nesvec also has concerns about Colorado's recent decision to relocate a Copper Creek wolf that had wandered into New Mexico and bring into Grand County, where the Copper Creek wolves have killed dozens of livestock at a cost to ranchers of more than $500,000. Goodness gracious. All information regarding the Copper Creek wolf and the release of wolves from British Columbia is due by January 18th. If the above information is not supplied within the prescribed time period, this letter serves as a requisite 60-day calendar day notice of termination. Termination of the agreement would result in the immediate revocation of all CPW authority over gray wolves in its jurisdiction. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service would assume all gray wolf management activities, including, this is where it gets wild, relocation and lethal removal. Whoa. This is the Fed stepping in big time. What do you think?
Well, I think we've had problems with some of the management of the gray wolf program here, primarily reintroducing predatory wolves that have eaten wild livestock before. That was one of the rules, was once it kills a livestock animal, it was supposed to be euthanized, but they've reintroduced them. That's a problem. I think that is probably where the federal government has its best case. Depending on where we get the wolves from, etc., that to me is a little more minor of a point. But because whether or not we get them from Oregon, from Canada, or off of wish.com, it's still gray wolves. They're being reintroduced. The issue is really the danger.
Did we send those to Boulder?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there really is the danger, the idea that you are allowing animals that have exhibited predatory behavior towards livestock back into similar communities. So you know it's a danger and you're re-releasing it. And that's where I think the real problem is going to be. And that's where the questions really need to be answered. Because outlined in the proposal in the program was that once they exhibit that predatory behavior, they are euthanized. And that is not being done right now. And I think there are some questions that should be answered about that. Although I do think that the optics of the federal government coming in here and just shooting the wolves, probably not going to be a winner. I mean, regardless of your position on them.
Do you think Trump worries about that right now? The dude just flew down to Caracas and grabbed the guy. The optics.
Well, here's the idea. Does he want, it depends on when this happens. Does he want to win the midterms? How important is his legacy? And I think that part of this is legacy will somewhat matter to Trump because he's slapping his name on just about everything that we can in Washington, D.C. And if Trump's administration is followed immediately by a Democrat administration, those names are gone. Those names are gone in the first month. So he is looking for some sort of I believe, some sort of a long-term legacy. That's why we're getting the hero's arc and the other stuff that he's trying to build right now, is because he's looking for that sort of a long-term permanent legacy and then puts his name on them. So he is concerned about it, and it could easily be stripped from him very, very quickly if the body politic does turn against him and puts a Democrat in. I mean, that entire, if he doesn't get that ballroom built, that entire ballroom is Kaputski in the first 60 days if it's not built by the time a Democrat gets elected, if they lose the next major presidential election.
Here's one of the aspects of the article that was fascinating to me. The wolves have killed more than 5 dozen head of livestock. That's 60. I mean, and cows ain't cheap right now.
No.
Cows, calves, llama, sheep, as well as working dogs in Pitkin, Routt, Gunnison, Rio Blanco, Eagle, and Grand counties. Wolves that traveled into northern Jackson County from Wyoming have also killed more than 2 dozen livestock and working dogs in the past 4 years. That's a lot. That's not like 1 cow or 3 sheep.
No, that is a lot.
5 dozen across a whole lot of different counties.
Yeah. But again, the thing is, I'm not as worried about wolves in the ecosystem because I see them as a benefit. And, spent a lot of time in the mountains growing up where there are bears running around, walking through town. I mean, middle of town, bear comes through looking through the trash cans. And nobody runs around and is like, oh, we got to start shooting the bears, etc. It's sort of a managed risk. And that is what I think we need to start approaching the wolves as a managed risk. But I do think that also the process and procedure for our farmers and ranchers to get reimbursed for the livestock that is killed is problematic. I have seen a real issue with slow processes and procedures and justifications and questions from the state over things that are obviously predatory attacks. They're like, well, are you sure this is a wolf? Like, what else does this in this region? Because a bear doesn't attack that way. The only thing that does attack this way, they don't attack
cattle.
Not that large. No, they don't attack cattle that large. They go after the little ones. And so that's the issue. Is, do you really know this is a wolf? I'm like, well, yes. And so that's part of the issue as well. Is I think the state should be much more amenable to some of those claims rather than trying to, be so tight-fisted on them, because there needs to be a balance in this.
Brian from Littleton texting in, kidnapping wolves from their pack, moving them thousands of miles away and dumping them in unfamiliar locations is extremely cruel. End this program now. I agree with Brian. This is part of the problem I've had with all of this.
Yeah.
Is that you have wolves living with their pack, having a great time, hunting elk or caribou up in Canada, and life is great. And then some dude in a badge tranks you, throws you in the back of a plane, flies you, 1,000 miles south where the weather's different, the food's different, the climate's different, you have no pack anymore, and you're just thrown out there, and you lost your family, your friends. Now all of a sudden you're looking for food. Oh, by the way, now we basically put you in a place where there's fast food. And if you happen to partake even once of the fast food, which is the little calf standing around, then we shoot you. The whole process just seems stupid and cruel. And to your point, Bill, if they were naturally coming in here, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think we have to necessarily go out there and hunt down every single wolf that just happened to show up in Colorado from Montana or Idaho. Obviously, if they're killing cattle, that's a different thing. But, if they're coming in here naturally, that's one thing. But this whole process, and then, Mr. Thorpe, the whole outrageous cost associated with it. They said that this thing was going to cost this much. It's cost way more than what they said it was going to cost. The whole program's stupid, and you're just wasting a whole bunch of resources. It reminds me of just trying to shoehorn in something into Colorado that's not a good fit, and it's costing everybody money, and little wolves are dying, and the only person that really wanted to do this, I think, was Marlon Reese, Jared Polis's husband.
I don't know. There was a vote, so there were. But so you can't say that he's the only one.
I think I don't think they're like dyed in the wool. Like, this has to happen.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all. And I think part of it was just there's a benefit to the ecosystem. And I see the story you're telling about that Canadian wolf, but you also could tell the story that if the Canadian wolf comes down here, it is a less harsh of an environment, and he has less competition for prey. So all of a sudden now, rather than struggling with the pack in order to feed everybody, he's in a land of largesse where there are not as many predators competing for the food source. And sometimes you've got really slow, stupid food that is inside of a pen. And so that seems like a bonus, and you don't have the harsh Canadian winters.
But you're
so there is some sort of a bonus if you're the,
But I will tell you, you're watching the wolves die going back north. It seems like they maybe are trying to get home. It's like that movie Homeward Bound.
Yeah.
It's Michael J. Fox and the rest of them trying to get home, and then they run into Wyoming where they club them or hit them with cars or something and then drag them around a bar. So not the friendliest environment.
No. Not all the time, but again, when you introduce new predatory species into an area, it normally takes a while for them to thrive, and sometimes, they do try to get back home. You see that there's just legions and legions of stories of that. One of the things, we've got some, I wouldn't say predatory, but invasive species that we're dealing with here in Colorado that we're trying to curtail as well. I think the program's been mismanaged. I don't think the government's going to get any really good mileage out of the idea that, hey, we're just going to come in here and shoot the wolves. But I do think that those running the program should answer for many of the questions, mostly the idea of re-releasing those predatory wolves back into the wild, because that was one of the agreements, that once they learned to do this, we won't let them back in, because that's where they're going to go find the food source. It's the same reason that when Blake Olson talked earlier about the mountain lion that attacked the woman over the Christmas break and killed her, why they went up there and tried to find the mountain lions and kill them. Because once the mountain lion realizes that humans are slow and soft and squishy and taste pretty good, they'll start hunting us. So they need to not realize we are a prey source. So that's part of the issue, is you don't release those type of predators back into that environment.
How do you think CPW responds?
Oh, it's a good question. My guess would be they will provide just enough to try not to get in trouble. I doubt they will provide everything. I think they're going to try and slow walk this and see how persistent the feds are, and whether or not this is something that is an A-level issue for the administration or a D-level issue for the administration. And are they focused on it? And if we just do some paperwork stuff and kind of slow walk these things and say it takes us time to build this, can you just kind of try to run the clock out on the Trump administration, or just see if their energy for this runs out? The idea that this may be the shiny object they're looking at now, but in 18 months, are they going to be concerned? Are they going to have something else to be distracting them?
There's two ways they could go on this, in my mind. Knowing Marlon Reese and the fact that the first husband or the first gentleman to Jared Polis is so passionate about animals, he may go to the wall on this thing. He may go all the way and want to fight the Trump administration. Go, no, we must protect these wolves. They're so important. And Jared Polis gets all worked up, and they challenge the president. This becomes Polis v. Trump to defend wolf reintroduction in Colorado. Or because, according to Fish and Wildlife, Colorado violated the rule of 10J by bringing in wolves from Canada. CPW may just go, all right, you got us. We broke the rule. And come and get them. And the Trump administration comes and gets them. Because do you see the turnover that's happening at CPW right now? These guys that are supposed to be managing the wolves are all quitting.
Yeah.
So this may be the out that CPW just goes, we broke the rule. You have the legal justification. Plus, this thing's costing way more money. We can't find anybody to run this thing anymore. This was a boondoggle. You're right. We're done. Come and get them, and we'll just look the other way. Or you get the Polis stepping in to defend his husband and animal welfare, and this becomes Trump v. Polis via wolf reintroduction.
Yeah, I'm curious because with Marlin not being elected, would Polis want to put that much political capital into backing him, and would anybody else inside of the Polis administration, simply because we know the Polis administration goes away and he can't run for re-election?
Yeah, but it's your spouse. Like, if you're the governor and this is your wife's pet project,
well,
I mean,
here's the idea, though.
Pet
No, but,
project?
the idea,
You're going to defend that.
Maybe not, because does defending the project put in jeopardy anything else that you might have planned? And what I mean is that run for president or something else. And so that's what I'm looking at is how much of a voice do you then want to give Marlin? Because if you run into that Democrat primary or you're looking for another gig, does someone pull the old Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton thing about, hey, Hillary was unelected and he put her in charge of healthcare? And so is that the kind of thing that Marlin's unelected and now he's in charge of this?
You go to bed next to them every night.
I know, but did it work out for Bill? How did it hurt? That hurt his legacy. And in some ways, I would submit that part of that process and procedure and what happened then hurt Hillary's chances when she was running for the White House. There was a lot of leftover bile in people's mouths over the fact that she was an unelected spouse of the president that then was going to be in charge of changing a major portion of American life. That, I think, carried. So I'm curious.
Where do you think this is going to go? What do you think Trump is going to do? Do you see Trump coming in? U.S. Fish, Wildlife Services, guns ablazing, wolves gone. Would you support that happening? Or do you say, hey, the voters of Colorado made a determination. They wanted the wolves relocated. We've run into some hiccups. We got to stay committed to the plan. This is important for the future of Colorado. What do you think? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. Iggy with the tweet of the morning, text of the morning. Californians are the largest invasive species we have to deal with in Colorado. All right, let's talk Colorado Christian University. Faith, family, freedom. These values define the American tradition and are increasingly under attack. The Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University is dedicated to remaining a committed voice for Christian conservative principles through their public events, publications, student activities. They're committed to delivering world-class programming that empowers citizens of all ages to stand boldly for conservative values and engage with the pressing issues of the day with grace and truth. The need to promote principled conservatism and train the next generation of conservative leaders to speak with moral clarity and conviction is more urgent than ever. Join the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University in their work to recommit the culture to faith, family, freedom, and future. Learn more at centennial.ccu.edu. That's centennial.ccu.edu. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff Bill Show. This is like industrial, like banging on pipes music.
No,
is
this is not
what
industrial.
we're coming with?
No, this is new wave. This is Depeche Mode. This is not Depeche Mode's not industrial.
Sounds like they're banging on pipes. Good
Well,
morning. It's the
just
6 a.m. hour. You tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. We're banging on pipes.
Industrial is more Nitzareb, Front 242, stuff like that. You can even go into the My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, stuff like that. Yeah, that's not. In fact, industrial. Marilyn Manson is technically industrial. So, yeah, this is
whatever
new
that
wave.
is. It's rough in the 6 a.m. hour.
No, that's fantastic. Depeche Mode's fantastic. That's great 80s.
Right.
That's great 80s new wave pop. That's good.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services threatening to terminate Colorado's authority to manage wolves, even saying, yeah, we're probably just going to come in and shoot them at this point. Do you support the Trump administration doing this? The voters of Colorado said by a small margin that they want wolves relocated, but it's cost way more. It's been way more difficult. Wolves or ranchers frustrated with the wolf depredation, the amount of cattle, 5 dozen at this point have been killed, working dogs killed, cattle and working dogs in Wyoming killed by these wolves that have been reintroduced. Has it just been a disaster? Do you support at this point the Trump administration coming in, going, you know what? You broke the rules too. You went up there and you got wolves from Canada when you weren't supposed to, per our agreement. And it's time for these wolves to go. Text message is hot on this one. Breadman. Normally the concerns in invasive species like the Yukon wolves is that they're not just native, but they're much larger than American wolves. I hope they remove them before they decimate the elk herds. My family has hunted for 20 years. It's an important part of our heritage and tradition here in Colorado. I've heard that.
Well, I think that was part of the reason they wanted to bring the wolves in, was because of the elk and antelope herds getting too large. And there weren't as many natural predators that were helping curtail some of the breeding. And they were even talking about, it was one of the weird things is that they were hoping that some of the predation by the wolves would slow down on a wasting disease that is affecting both populations. And so that was part of the idea, is those animals that were sick were the first ones then to be eaten. So it was somewhat of a control mechanism, I believe. Not necessarily a 100% nor always efficient, but that was part of it as well, is there was a disease, and I believe it was a wasting disease that's in both of the populations. So I think that was part of it.
8422 texting in. My point is the city slickers are shocked when they kill livestock, and then we automatically go out and kill the wolves that we just relocated here, all in the name of the first gentleman because of his love for wildlife. It's one of the most asinine things that you could ever be doing. God forbid there would be somebody with enough authority to intervene and talk some sense into the people that have absolutely no experience or background in wildlife management, but are making these stupid decisions. He's referring to ballot box biology, just allowing, Johnny Smith, who lives in an apartment in Boulder, to make these decisions. All because of some cartoon they probably watched when they were 7. What's next? Pouring alligators into Atlanta? Let's go to the phone lines. Marcus and Aurora. Good morning, Marcus. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Marlo might have something there. Why don't we reintroduce the mountain lions, the wolves, and the coyotes up in Boulder? Because there's plenty of dogs and cats and some people to eat. And bring them back to the habitat.
I think there are some mountain lions.
Might thin the herd up there a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and make it a meatless Friday, Marlo. The ranchers and everybody, people got to survive. And when it starts costing them, that's terrible.
It's cost them a lot. Some of these ranchers having lost $500,000. That's amazing.
Would you prosecute them if they shot a wolf?
Well, there's an old saying among ranchers that you shoot, shovel, and shut up.
That's right.
But I think some of those wolves out there have tracking collars. So
that's all right. You can lose that tracking collar.
See,
we
Marcus,
just take this and drive it.
The sense I get from people, from your call and people like you, is that this is just an unnecessary headache, right? This was kind of a liberal pipe dream. the animals, they were going to go thin the herds, the sick ones, and this was going to be nice. And we watched a nature video when we were in grade school about how wolves helped Yellowstone, and this was going to be all great for Colorado, not taking into consideration the challenges, the complexity, and the cost. And it's all caught up to us. And so if U.S. Fish and Wildlife came in and shot them all, I think you would get some protests, but I think a majority of Coloradans are ready to move on from it.
But you know something, Jeff? I come from a generation of farmers, and they ran livestock and everything, and that was their lives. Crops, that's devastating. And another thing, the federal government and the state does not pay for any of the livestock and everything destroyed.
Yeah,
you
they're
end up
supposed
in
to.
court.
No.
Colorado does.
They do. Colorado does. Colorado's pay, you make a claim, and that's one of the things we talked about earlier, Marcus, is that I believe that the state is a little too tight-fisted on some of those claims. But I understand the idea that, we don't need these wolves, but the wolves are natural inside of this ecosystem, and they are needed as far as a predator species if you're going to control the elk and antelope population. Because what'll happen there is if they breed too much, they start overfeeding on the vegetation. And that was some, and that was some of the reason, when we got into this this conversation about the voting for or against this. That was part of the reason that was behind getting the wolves back in here, is because of the larger herds and some of the overeating of the vegetation. It was somewhat of a balancing act. It has been imperfect, and nature often is imperfect, and it's messy, and things die, and that's what was going to happen. But yeah, I think the introduction has been a little bit mismanaged. It's been a little bit messy, but overall, I'm okay with it.
Would you say, Bill, that we should continue with it, though?
Yeah, I would. I would, with some alterations.
Bill, why don't we just put them in Boulder, and they got to thin out that population too, and a meatless Friday?
Marcus, some Republican lawmakers did introduce a law in Colorado, a bill. It was introduced that whenever we put a wolf up in Routt County or Grand County or wherever else these wolves are, we have to put them also in the counties that voted for the wolves. So Boulder, Denver, and the Democrat lawmakers said no. No, this is your problem.
Bad.
Right? I know, of course. Marcus, great call.
Yeah,
I
thanks for the call,
appreciate it. Marcus's line will be open 303-696-1971. We're talking U.S. Fish and Wildlife now threatening to terminate Colorado's authority to manage wolves and even go further. Basically show up and shoot them at this point. They've had enough, saying you broke the rules. You shouldn't have gone and gotten the wolves from Canada. Nobody else is giving you wolves now. You can't manage the system. It's gotten too expensive. There's too much livestock dying. We're going to take it over and possibly just go out and shoot the wolves. What do you think? Do you support Trump doing this? Or is this federal overreach into states' rights? 303-696-1971. Let's go to Rod in Littleton. Good morning, Rod. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning, guys. I would love nothing more than to be able to go observe wolves in the wild. I did not vote for this. Where people forget, dogs or wolves are creatures of taking the path of least resistance. Yes, they wanted to put them out to manage the sick and the dying and the weak and the elk and the other wildlife. But if they find an easy target, they're going to take it. And once they take it, they realize that, hey, it's easy cow, that becomes their main source of food. They're not going to go out and fight for, run around and chase the wildlife when this is served on a platter. I know, Jeff, you called it fast food. That's really what it is.
And there's a big difference, too, with wolves in Wyoming versus Colorado. Colorado's just a much more populous state. It doesn't have the acreage that Wyoming has. I've been to Yellowstone. I've stood there on the road and watched those wolf packs way up there, really far away, all that stuff. It's just a different place than Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. And so to try to put this near ski resorts and And
Yep.
in such a populous state, it's just not going to work.
That's it. We can't compare the reintroduction of wolves that they did in Yellowstone to Colorado, because Yellowstone is its own ecosystem. There's nothing else around it. Yes, the wildlife there is what they're going to go after. Do they venture off the park and sometimes take domestic animals? Yes, but it's less likely. They do have a territory. It's a large territory, but it's all tied to getting something to eat. Right?
You're exactly right, Rod Littleton. Thank you. That's Rod from Littleton. Appreciate the call. His phone line will open. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. We got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's that time of the morning we give you what you're all really looking for. You choose the news.
Yes, it is that time of the morning where we get to make questionable decisions. It's America's favorite fake radio news game show. You choose the news. Now, this is a game in which I browse the interwebs for mere moments this morning to find really dumb stories about us humans, then slap even more ridiculous headlines on them so we can play this fake radio news game show because those in charge are not awake until 7. So Jeff and I are going to take full advantage of being left unsupervised, and as always, we need someone to blame. I mean, we need a partner. Yes, a partner in crime. No. We need someone to help out with this, and that is Blake Olson, who is in the news department. No, we're not blaming him, at least as long as he's listening. Alrighty, now, here we go. Gentlemen, here are your headline choices this morning. Headline number 1, holiday disappointment. Headline number 2, the new kid in town. Headline number 3, political windfall. And headline number 4, these boots were made for walking. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
Start with a little holiday disappointment.
Yeah, a little holiday disappointment. New Year's Eve revelers in Birmingham, England had gathered in Centenary Square. They knew that a big party was going to be taking place. There was going to be music and fireworks to ring in the new year. You could see on social media that it was a packed crowd of spectators. They were counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, nothing. Yeah, for the second year in a row, someone played a giant prank and told people there was going to be a fireworks display in Centenary Square in Birmingham, England. No fireworks display. And people showed up for the second year in a row. Yes, wasn't long before the police went to the area to break it up and say there's nothing official taking place. Next time, check the official announcements on the city site. Don't just listen to stupid social media, you morons. I may have added the last part.
Did you see the people that all gather outside the billboard that says number of smoking deaths this year?
No.
And then when it clicks over to zero, from like 400,000 to zero, they all stand up and celebrate.
That's good. All right, Blake, your choice, sir. The new kid in town, political windfall, or these boots were made for walking?
Well, let's go with the new kid in town.
Yeah, the new kid in town. Here we are high above the Abruzzo Mountains in the small Italian village of Palagara del Marsi. Cats rule the street in this tiny Italian town, and until recently, the village soundtrack was mostly the soft echo of paws, purring, and the occasional meow. But that silence was broken earlier this year. For the first time in nearly 3 decades, a baby was born in the small town. 9-month-old Laura has lifted the population to 20 now in the town and transformed everyday life. The baptism filled the tiny church opposite her home, drawing residents from more towns around, and a lot of the cats were there too. Laura has become an event in and of herself. According to Italy's national statistics, they, as well as America, are having a falling fertility rate. The village has lost generation after generation, say people that live in the tiny village, and the fact that a new generation is born is cause for celebration.
Yeah, amen.
So, yeah, she's like a tourist attraction now. Kind of cool.
No doubt.
All righty, final choice this morning, Jeff. Political windfall, or these boots were made for walking?
These boots were made for walking.
Yeah, these boots are made for walking. Are you ready for an exoskeleton? At CES 2026, created by Defi, Sidekick lifts your heels with every step, saying it's going to make it easier for you to walk. Sidekick has proprietary shoe with a carbon fiber plate at the back that attaches to a battery-powered exoskeleton that'll strap to your calf. It takes about 15 seconds to put one on, and according to testers, they actually work. They're going to run you about $4,500 a pair, but they say the key is it's not attaching to your knees or your hips, so it actually feels lighter. No more than wearing kind of a tall set of boots. They have a specially designed sneaker, looking like Hoka sneakers. One of the reviewers that walked around said they wish they would have had this when they were walking around navigating the airports to get into CES. They said that there are 3 different mechanisms that you can increase how much assistance they give you, but if you're ever on those long walks, those marches, you go through that Disneyland or something like that, maybe you need some of these sidekicks that helps you going all day long.
Those. Dude, we were at Disney World from moment it opens to the moment it closes.
See, that's why I pulled this. I was thinking of you doing the Disneyland march and how easy it would have made the rest of the day.
26,000 steps that day.
Ooh, yeah. So the reviewers say out of all the exoskeleton editions at CES, that's the one to pay attention to. Sidekick.
That is so cool. All right, Mark Baisley's up next. He's switching from the race for governor to the race for senator. Do you support him? We're going to hear from him. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.